All right. So yeah, as I explained, we're just sort of looking at, how depression does impact parents, moms and dads or guardians, but how that can, make parenting so hard and impact the entire family. So, I'd just love to hear some of your insight on that.
Right. So parenting is hard as it is. It's challenging. There are moments of course, of joy and wonder at this little creature that the couple has created, but also a lot of challenges that come with the new territory, the lack of sleep, the judgment and criticism that parents get, and especially moms. So when the mother has depression on top of all the normal challenges of taking care of a baby, makes it extremely difficult to get through, of course.
Yeah. And what are some of the ways that it might, I guess, impact, her relationship with her child and also with her partner?
You're asking me about the relationship with the child, with the baby, and that is an area that has been researched very thoroughly and has put even more pressure and more blame and created more guilt for moms because the research does show that baby's development, child development is negatively affected by a mother's depression or anxiety. I have to say there's a lot of anxiety that goes with or without depression. About 30% of women who have postpartum depression or depression during pregnancy and postpartum also have anxiety and panic attacks. So we don't want to forget about that because it also affects the way that a woman can relate to the child and the baby, and also her level of functioning might be severely affected. I think I'd like to avoid focusing on this issue because it has been talked about so much, and it creates tremendous guilt for moms, which just impacts the whole mental health situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know that this is.
I would understand that postpartum depression would be more common in the mothers. As the child is older, is depression still more common in women as opposed to the fathers in this situation?
First of all, women are 3 times more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues than men, unfortunately. And so you have to ask yourself why, and there's a whole slew of research that goes into looking at why women are more prone to mental health issues or challenges. And the obvious answer is hormones. The less obvious answer is our society, the place of women in society. That's a whole area that also has been researched, and yes, when women are put in a disadvantaged position in society, they tend to be more anxious, more depressed than men. And this is not to minimize the suffering that men endure, of course. It's just to say that the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
3 times more.
That's incredible. I knew it was high. I didn't realize it was that high. But yes, I completely agree and really respect that we don't want to focus on, any way that would make mothers feel more guilty in their parenting. So how can we support, women when they're going through this and as a partner or even just as, somebody in their social circle or family, what are some things that we can do to help lift them up out of this place they're in?
I think that's a great question, Amy. I think this is where the focus needs to be. First of all, by talking about it, by making it an okay thing to talk about. Women do not need to be ashamed. It's none of their fault. Whoever gets depression, whoever suffers with depression, anxiety, OCD, or any other mental health challenge, it's not their fault. I would like to see many more women speak openly about how they're feeling and not putting in a shameful, position where they need to apologize or they need to, even worse, hide that they're suffering with postpartum depression or anxiety. I mean, the societal expectation is, oh, you have a baby, this must be so wonderful, this must be the most joyful time of your life, and that's the expectation. But really, we all have moments of joy, and we all have moments of struggle. And so it's not every minute of every day with a new baby or with little kids is joyful. And that's a myth, that it should be, this bliss that you feel when you become a mom. Yes, there are moments like that, but it's not always like that, especially when you're sleep deprived, when you have problems, pain with breastfeeding, when you are lonely. Loneliness amongst mothers is huge. It is a huge problem, and it became even bigger during the pandemic, of course, when we were isolated. And for mothers, I always say, go out, meet up with friends, go join a group, talk to people. And we were all, of course, isolated because of the pandemic and the increase in anxiety and depression, and the demand for services like mine has more than tripled during the pandemic. So thankfully now we're coming out of it, and the main thing is for a woman who is going through depression is to be supported, to feel like she doesn't have to hide that she's going through that. There are resources in the community. Unfortunately, not a lot, but there are some resources. Reaching out to, I always say to my clients, reach out to the people who are more compassionate, the people who are most likely to be understanding and supportive. You don't need criticism. You don't need judgment, because moms are so self-doubting and self-judging. And we don't need to add to that, because that actually takes away from their ability to thrive and to provide the care that the baby needs. So less judgment, more encouragement, more practical help. This is so timely. I just had a new grandson born last week.
Oh, well, congratulations.
And thank you so much. Yeah, and just a refresher and a reminder on how challenging it is to take care of a newborn, and the need for the parents to be supported and helped, and whatever they need to provide for them. If it's a meal or if it's an hour's sleep or whatever it is, that you can gift a mother or a couple, new parents. It's wonderful. So, and as a partner, I would say that, first of all, again, avoid blaming. It's not like a woman can snap out of depression. Nobody can snap out of depression. This is, if you've never had struggles with mental health, then maybe you'd think that somebody can just will themselves out of depression and anxiety, but it's not the case. Unfortunately, it's tough, and mothers struggle so much with I just want to do the right thing by my baby and by my child, and I don't feel like I'm giving them everything they need and deserve, and to have somebody else from the outside, be it a relative or the partner, it's even more crushing. So what women who go through mental health challenges during pregnancy and postpartum need a lot of encouragement, need a lot of hugs, if that's what they like to get. I always say, ask for what you need, and for the partner, ask her what she needs. And it may differ from person to person. Some people like a hug. Some people like to be left alone and get to drink a cup of tea while it's still warm and not cold.
Yeah.
It's we need open communication, and we need we need to lose stigmatization of mental health, and especially from mothers who the expectation is that it's such a glorious time in your life and you have to be, glowing with happiness. And sometimes maybe you are, but other times you're not, and you're tired and your nipples are hurting, and maybe you're recovering from the birth, being a C-section or a vaginal birth. You're recovering, and it's hard to recover when you're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And when you're by yourself. And how do you take care of yourself when you have to take care of a newborn who's completely dependent on you? Mm-hmm. But it's important to take care of yourself. It is important. You'll make a better mom for your child if you take care of yourself. And this is also something that I always work with my clients on self-care, because they so neglect themselves, because they think there's no time for me. I'm at the bottom of the list, right? But if you neglect yourself, you're not doing any favor to anybody, let alone your baby or your child.
Right. Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, but it's that whole comparison with, on the airplane, you need to put your oxygen on first before you can help anybody else. So, it's something we all need to remember. One final question is, as you were saying, since the pandemic, the need for mental health care has skyrocketed because it's put so many people in such a hard place. At the same time, there does seem to be a bit more openness and discussion around mental illness and depression. Do you feel that as a whole we are making steps to being more accepting and inclusive of mental illness and the different struggles that people will have?
I think we are progressing in that area. I think there's an initiative by Bell, for example, like the Let's Talk, the 1 day of mental health talk. It's a great initiative. It's just we need more of that. We need to be more open. We need, if you have somebody in your circle that has had a baby recently, ask them a mood question. Ask them really how they're doing, and because usually when you say, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm okay." But you have to ask them, "How's it really going for you? How is your mood?" I also educate family physicians, and I always say to them, don't ask your patient, "How are you?" because they'll just say, "I'm okay." But ask them a mood question. How has your mood been since the baby was born? How are you really doing? The focus is so much on the baby and less so on the mother. You see, when a woman is pregnant, the focus is on her all the time. How is she doing? How is she feeling? Has she gained? Has she lost? How is her blood pressure? Once the baby is born, there's a abrupt shift into just focusing on the baby and kind of forgetting the mom. Yeah. And I don't want people to forget about the mom, because the mom needs to be in the top shape in order to be able to give good care, to provide good care to the baby. And we haven't touched upon a situation which is very common, where there may be a toddler at home and then a new baby. Yeah. And the mom is left to care for the both of them or the three of them. And then, who cares for the mother, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be so much more, we need to be so much more providing and giving toward mothers than we currently are. I mean, we used to live in extended families and extended communities, and everybody was taking care of kids. Now the situation is that moms are mostly alone with their kids, and it's not good for us. It's not good for our mental health. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to reach out so that isolation and loneliness, which are a big part of depression, is eradicated. I mean, I may be a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Dream to have,
right?
No, and it's a very good shift in mindset that I think people need to realize, that we put so much onus on the people experiencing mental health to reach out, and that we will be accepting of it, and we really encourage that, but we need to reach out to people to check in on how they're doing.
Right.
It's a good reminder.
Absolutely.
Listen, I thank you so much. You're just such a wealth of knowledge. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. I really, really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. I'm always up for advocating for new moms and new parents.
Good. They need that. It's I mean, it's a scary and dark place sometimes. It really is, and we need to be more accepting of that and aware of it.